Hi there, it's me. I am creating this little video for you on something that's called Screencast-O-Matic. And Screencast-O-Matic is a free service that you can use to record videos. But what I like about it is you can make a video and you can also see the screen, which is going to be really useful for what we're about to do. What I will say about Screencast-O-Matic is that I have found that I have trouble using it in a Cobb County building. I think it has something to do with the firewall. So we are in my little home office right now, so you may hear, the husband coughing, the kids playing, and the dog going nuts, but we're going to hope for the best. So, at any rate, what I want to show you is hopefully by now, we have just had a riveting conversation about my friend Kevin. Let me bring up that PowerPoint slide. Okay. So we've just talked a little bit about Kevin and about Kevin's data and some of the issues that we were having with Kevin's data, primarily in that Kevin has a habit of refusing to participate in the probes, which has caused some problem because we don't have as many data points as we would have liked to use. So for this illustration, we're going to pretend that it is progress report time. Yay! Hopefully, given the fact that this is during pre-planning, you have had the opportunity to do your progress reports. But if you haven't, and if as new staff you've never done them before, what I wanted to do was to show you how we're going to input Kevin's performance into GoalView so that you can create a report. If you already know how to do this, maybe you'll learn a few tips or think about it a little differently. But if you haven't done this, sometimes it's good to be able to show you. So here we go. So I have taken Kevin's data. And what I want us to do, whoops, that's not working. We're going to end show. Okay. So don't you like that video for creating progress reports? Go here, and we're making that video right now. Okay. So we are going to go ahead and go into GoalView. Now, you don't have access to this, but since I do trainings, I have access to a fake account. My fake account is for a student named Pretend Baker Fake. Gotta love the name. So we are going to pretend that Pretend is our student Kevin. So what you'll do when it's progress report time is you get into your student's GoalView file and go down here to the bottom where it says Mark Progress. Manage Goals is where you delete goals or create new ones. Mark Progress is where you're going to go for that progress report. So I'm going to click there. Okay. So if Kevin is receiving services, in this case he's receiving services in math, we're going to go to his math goals. Kevin has math goals in problem solving, which we've seen. I'm going to click that. So you can see here is his page. We've got the overarching goal and the two objectives that we just finished talking about. So when I report on these, what I'm going to do is I want to go over here to Edit. And I want to go to notes. I kind of like doing them at the same time. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is we're going to, what is 2019? We're going to go ahead and say demonstrate effective problem solving. Now, I don't necessarily have an overreaching percentage for this because I've not probed the overarching goal. What I'm doing is looking at the objectives, but I need to say something about it. This would be a really good place to say something to the following effect. Kevin is making progress. However, it should be noted that these percentages are based on a limited number of probes, as Kevin often refuses to participate in them. And then I'm going to go ahead and put my initials. Okay? It is perfectly appropriate if you're in a situation like Kevin to go ahead and reference that you have limited probes, especially if it has to do with the student's behavior, or sometimes we have kids who are absent a lot. All you can do is tell the story. So if he was absent 65% of the semester, go ahead and say it. It's okay as long as you're able to back that up with data from the student record. Okay, so pretend Kevin will correctly solve word problems. So we're going to go ahead and put our date. Do we say 01, 2019? Now, what I will tell you is that there are times, let's say you inherit one of these and you start writing in here and you can tell that there are already 10, 12 notes that this kid has had this goal for a really long time. I'm going to advise you to go talk to your SSA about how they would like you to proceed, but typically what you're going to be told to do is go ahead and clear out any of the old notes that are from before the IEP. So for example, this IEP, I think the dates we gave it were October 5th. That's the new IEP start date. So you would clear out any of these notes in here from before October 5th. Make sense? Okay, so what I decided to do with Kevin's data is to take out the times he refused. So if we look here, let's go back to Kevin's data. So for this first objective, we offered him what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 probes, and he refused to do 2 of them. Okay, so what I did was I took an average of the probes he was willing to complete. So I'll go ahead and reference that. Okay, Kevin refused to complete 2 of the 6 presented. He performed at an average of, we're going to say 64.75, which is what I got when I did it on my calculator, percent on the probes, which he did complete. Go ahead and initial, because we want to know, especially if you might be the small group teacher at an elementary school, and so there may be a different case manager and you just serve math, or in a situation like in a middle or high school, there's going to be a lot of people reporting on this. So make sure, put your parent hat on, that if you write the comment, you let the parent know who's saying that. Okay, so I went ahead and did that. Now here's something that truthfully we don't see a lot of consistency on in the district. So he is at 64.75%, and what you'll see a lot of people do is click here and go ahead and move it to 65%. My advice to you is not to round. Okay, 64.75 I admit is pretty close, but I think in the one that we're going to get to below, you'll see that it's not that close. You know, 62% is not 60%, it's not 65. I prefer to go ahead and use the actual numbers here in my narrative, and so what I typically do is I go down here to that question mark. Makes sense? Now, if it was a flat 70%, yeah, I'll go ahead and change it to 70%, but it's not. So I am going to represent that with a question mark. Again, that might be a good conversation for you to have with your SSA as to how they feel. But again, just for my 2 cents, if I've represented it here, I don't feel the need to round up here. I think that that's confusing. And really what the purpose of this progress report is to go ahead and communicate those accurate numbers to the parent. The other thing is that when I go back and I do this again the next 9 weeks, hopefully we'll see him maybe at 72% this time. So we're going to have a running record of where he was working percentage-wise. Okay, objective 1.2, again, I'm going to go ahead and date 2019. Happy New Year. And I did the same thing with the data. So here he had 6 opportunities. He refused 1 and did not complete the other. So I did not include that 20% in my calculations. And the reason why I did that is because if I'm not counting them up here and I'm not measuring how many probes he's completing, what's important to me is that I'm doing this in a consistent way that tells the story. Is Kevin making progress? Okay, so I went ahead and averaged what he did complete fully, this 33, 66, and 25. Okay, so I might say Kevin refused to complete, which I'm going to say attempt because he refused the whole thing, 1 of the 6 probes, and refused to answer all but 1 question, we'll say, if that's the case. I'm assuming that's the case. It's a hypothetical. On another. Only 4 probes were seen through to completion. On those probes, Kevin demonstrated mastery of the skill at 39.25%. And I'm going to initial because I'm going to own my comment there. All right, 39.25%. It's not 40%. It's not 35%. It's 39.25. We have represented that. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, again, just to be consistent, because my goal in completing this progress report is really about communication. So I'm going to go ahead and reference that with a question mark because it doesn't fit one of those nice even increments of 5. So don't forget to go here. He is making progress. I have introduced the skill. He's not mastered it because to master it, we need 80% and 40%. So he's partially mastered. I'm going to go through here. I'm going to show that he is progressing. And after I have all that, this is very important because nothing is more frustrating than when progress reports are due and you forget to do what? Hit the save button. All right. So there we go. And you can see here are all my notes. Looks good. I'm going to go ahead and save again just because I'm paranoid. All right. So now what you're going to do is you are going to hit final progress report. It's just like when you do an IEP. You've got a draft and you've got a final. So we're going to go ahead and finalize this sucker and hit finalize progress report. And you will see that all of my notes are showing there. The fact that I didn't put 35% or 40%, it doesn't matter because it's not showing here, but I've got those lovely numbers right here, which are going to be part of the record. And at the end here, this is very important. It gives the parents a chance to ask you any questions. You know, if they have any questions about it, you guys can meet up. They might request a conference, that sort of thing. Okay. And then all I have to do is just go right here and hit print. And it is done. So I'll take any questions that you might have about creating your progress report. Just a couple things to remember. One is talk to your SSA. Make sure you know or you get the blessing to go ahead and delete anything that is prior to the IEP start date. Again, our whole point is communication. We want to make it easier to read. So go ahead and do that. You might want to find out how they feel about using that question mark because as we've said, 32.7% is not 30%. It's not 35. And yeah, so you're going to do these progress reports before you do an IEP because you need to give a final report on their last goals and then at progress report time. So I hope you found this helpful. And if anyone wants the link to this video just so they can go ahead and refer back to it, let me know. Thanks so much.